If your strategy for sending your teen back to school is simply buying supplies and giving them a pep talk, you aren't resetting them. You're just scheduling their next burnout. Today, we're breaking down the psychological mechanics of transitioning from summer drift to high performance focus, exploring the exact systems for helping students reset for the school year that parents avoid, but absolutely shouldn't. Welcome to the Edu Steps podcast for parents powered by Laddering Your Success. My name is Olay, Shorunke, co-founder of Laddering Your Success, and I'm honored to be joined by the founder of Laddering Your Success, Festus Amoye. Festus, how you doing today?
What's going on, y'all? I'm doing excellent. Hey, thank you, Olay.
Absolutely, man. Let's jump right into today's topic. So we're going to start off talking about B, of course. Clinical data shows that up to 87% of parents, 87% report significant personal stress and anxiety during the school transition season, which, because it affects the parents, it affects the students, right? And it amplifies their own child's internal tension. So I think one of the things that parents have to do is to re-engineer that being, right? That underlying feeling or the underlying posture that they take towards things like structure and things like authority. During the summer, students go back into that droid state where they just wake up, get some food, maybe play some video games, walk around, go hang out with friends. Very low energy state, right? Forcing them from that back to that rigid school schedule without resetting some core principles is a recipe for rebellion. It's a recipe for anxiety. Remember, true readiness isn't necessarily a reaction to that first school bell. It's a shift in character. If a student sees a school year as a prison instead of a launch pad for their career or for future success, they're going to spend those next couple of months doing the bare minimum just to get by, right? So we're essentially setting our students up for failure. So parents, if you're ready to stop managing your teenagers' daily moods and start building long-term executive character, make sure to type reset in the comments right now. Reset in the comments. So Festus, look at how closely parental anxiety mirrors student back to school stress. How do we transform our home environment into a calm, strategic war room rather than an emotional pressure cooker?
Man, you're pulling my heartstrings for all the parents out there, because the thing is, there's a lot of different factors that go into getting back to school. Everything from school shopping, which that's the kids' thing, to knowing what classes to take for the next semester. And so there's a lot of different elements there. And I think the biggest thing for parents is managing your own stress so that you could help your students manage theirs. And one of the ways of managing your stress is to be proactive. So that means start looking at the school website, start planning for after school activities, start doing a little bit of digging in terms of what kind of camps your student will be a part of, right? We just finished a great call with the student asking about camps, and it was like, that's really wise. The parents gave wise advice. And part of encouraging them is to say, hey, what I want you to do this week before you go back to school is go ahead and look up the different programs at your high school that you're going to. And then let's come back and talk about that. And so if you could start giving your child a little bit of quote unquote homework, or more funny years, a little bit of homework, right? You can start to guide them towards being proactive as well. And that can help reduce some of your stress. Okay, so the big thing is the more you talk to them, the better, and give them responsibility and accountability as well.
I love it. I think about it in regards to fighting a war. In regards to fighting a war, right? You know this better than most people. If you're fighting in a war, you're not just going to start now, right? You've already prepared, right? And you have moves for moves. It's like chess. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the way a lot of parents have to look at this. I think one of the big things, I was doing a little research today, and I saw this little blurb about, like, we get mad at the students, we get mad at our kids for being upset when school starts, and you wake them up and they're like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to do this. It's like you had a whole 2 weeks. You had a whole month to prepare. I'm telling them, y'all know school. I give my parents credit. They used to do this at least a week before school started.
Yeah.
They would say, go to bed now because I don't want to hear, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that when school starts, because you know what's going to happen if you don't. It's like, you know what? Yeah. Very proactive, Dad. I think I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? So I think getting prepared always, even when I was in the Boy Scouts, I used to get teased about it a lot by my friends at church, but that was the quote, that was the motto of the Boy Scouts, be prepared, right? So I think in regards, the same rule applies. So great point.
100%.
So, yeah. Let's jump in and let's talk about no, right? We got some more stats here in regards to our no portion. National school behavior reports show that 75% of high school students describe themselves as feeling often or always stressed by academic workloads the moment the semester begins. So let's think about this from a no standpoint, the realities of the situation in regards to academics. Parents, we've got to know that the shock of a new school year it's going to be a shock because you went from having unlimited time, unlimited freedom to the same amount of time, but you have more work involved within that time, right? So when the student gets that new grade, the information is going to change. There's going to be situations with that because it's new information, maybe hard to process, but their habits are still kind of stuck from last year, right? And remember, every year you go, there's new, what does it say? New devils for new levels, right? So if you're still stuck in that last year's mindset and you got this extra work, this more complicated work, this more complex work, there's going to be anxiety. There's going to be stress. It's guaranteed. So if our teens do not know how to break down that long-term syllabus or evaluate these requirements that are now given to them, they're going to hit a wall of anxiety before they even get to midterms, right? So stop right there. And I want you to run an honest audit for you and your family. Does your teenager actually know the expectations of their upcoming courses, or are they blindly walking into an ambush, right? If they don't know the landscape, they can't conquer it. So
I love that. That's a bar. That's a bar. If I don't know the landscape, how can you conquer?
So looking at the data where 3/4 of those students experience immediate academic stress, what are the baseline operational facts that a student needs to take from their classes in 1 week to stay ahead of the curve? Because I'll tell you this, Festus, I'll never forget. I don't know, I think it was in high school. They gave me a syllabus. And I was like, syllabus? What's that?
Yeah.
And I think it was like the last pre-AP class or AP class I had or something. And I didn't make it. It was the last year. I was like, oh, I ain't built for this. Y'all true to this. I would ask questions and they would always say, you ain't looking at the syllabus? You ain't looking at the syllabus? I'd be like, what's the syllabus? He was like, bro, that thing they gave you. I was like, oh, man, all the answers are here. I was like, oh, man. And then Coach Rowland gave me that letter. I was on the failing list. I was like, oh, yeah, we got to change it up here. We got to go back to break.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead, Festus.
Wow. Throw the question back at me again because I'm just so many memories.
Looking at that data where we talked about 75% of students experience immediate academic stress. I'm talking about immediate academic stress. What are the baseline operational facts that a student needs to take from their classes in 1 week to stay ahead of that curve?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is learning how you learn. Right. And so a lot of people say, how can that be factual? We all have a way that we receive information best. And so by us knowing that fact about ourselves can then help us to better regulate how we're processing the information in the class. Am I auditory? Do I have to listen to the lecture, or do I need to record what is being said? Do I need to watch a video when I get out of class, right? So when you learn how you learn best, you'll learn how you can process that information in that class. Because contrary to popular belief, The professor is not there to teach you. They're there to teach the subject. They're there to teach the class. You are in the class. So the professor's not going, or your teacher, your high school teacher is not going to manipulate themselves just for your particular learning style. So that's where the next thing comes in, and that's learning how they teach. So if I know how I learn and I know how they teach, I can now say, ooh, the way that they teach is like this. And you could get a basic understanding of that in a week, right? And then learn your resources for the material itself, right? So for example, if I'm studying, let's say, I don't know, I'm studying something, there's things that I could grab directly from Khan Academy that are super helpful, and it's a free site, and I could go to OpenStax and get free books on it. You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about it, sir.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I could do that. But then on the flip side, I also need to be able to be like, the way this information is presented helps me more, right? And so that's what I would say, the baseline facts for the school.
I love it. I love it. I love it, man. I love it. All right. Let's jump into the do portion now. We talked about what are our principles, our values, characteristics. We talked about the resources that are around me and how do I get access to those things. Now we're going to take who we are and what we know, and we're going to come up with an action plan, okay? So remember this. They tracked behavioral tracking. They tracked controlled behavior tracking. And it showed that families who put in collaborative, structured transition routines at least 2 weeks before the first day of school reduce academic friction and boundary erosion by up to 30%. So just 2 weeks, just setting up some sort of plan or transition routine helps by up to 30%. And I hate to be the person who's like, I'm going to live my life based off of statistics, but I think this is the power of something that our parents talked to us a lot about, which was common sense. So let's take the statistics out of it and let's just look at it from a common sense perspective, right? If I'm preparing for a marathon and I start 6 months before, right? There's one person who starts 6 months before the marathon, and I'm talking about a legit 26.2 mile marathon. And there's one person who starts maybe a month before the marathon. Unless they're David Goggins, right? Yeah. The person who did the 6 month is going to be in a way much better place, right? Think about the different thoughts that happen in that 6 month period. Think about the people that you're going to meet within that 6 month period. See, this goes to the portion that we always talk about in regards to knowing your purpose early on. If you know your purpose early on at age 18, think about the people you're going to meet. Festus did a great job of describing this in the social chapter of the LYS book. He calls them these are transitional relationships.
Yeah.
These are going to be people that you meet in just the normal walk of life, right? You go into this function, you meet a person there. You don't know what that's going to turn into, but because your purpose aligned, it's going to work in a way that you may not realize now, but it's going to help you out in the future. So just think about that. 2 weeks reduces that stress, academic friction by up to 30%, right? So remember, real transformation requires immediate doing. That execution means you got to move away from that advice that doesn't seem to have that common sense. And you need to implement the predictable household mechanics. Festus, you did a great job of mentioning this. But I think you said something to the effect of, or at least what I took from it was, who knows your children better than you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I get it now. I remember now. This is when you said no one knows how you learn.
Yeah. So
in that same regard, who knows your children better than you, right?
Yeah.
So we've got to design repeatable rituals, structured evening planning sessions, shared calendar synchronization, right? I know you got families now, they're starting to do sports, they're starting to do a couple more things. This person needs to be picked up from here, this person's got that, this person got this event, that event. We got to have it stacked up, right?
Talk about it.
Yes, sir. To move to that offensive mindset, right? And so that's one of the things. And also in regards to that, I want you to think about this academic process as a sport. Think about going to school and studying, just like your favorite quarterback, just like Patrick Mahomes, just like Anthony Edwards puts in 50 free throws, 50 3-pointers before they leave. Did you get that 5-10 minutes reading that extra chapter? Did you go, like Festus mentioned, did you go to Khan Academy? Did you go to that Notebook LM to get that extra information? Think about it in that regard, okay? So let's see where the room stands. I want you to drop a friction, the word friction, FRICTION, in the comments if you're currently fighting your teen over chores and waking up, or drop a mission, MISSION, if you have co-authored a clear written strategy for the upcoming year. Let's see the tally, okay? So that's this last question here. Let's build a simple checklist, right? 3 to 5, all right? What is one concrete execution drill a parent can run tonight to bridge the gap between summer freedom and adult level accountability?
Ooh, are you ready for the mom? That's your checklist. And what's that mean? Do you have your clothes ready, out, folded? Do you have your lunch? That's a popular. It's a popular song right now. Okay, but anyway, see, Olay doesn't know. He just no, but anyway, but yeah. So that's the thing. Are you ready for tomorrow? Are your clothes ironed? Are your shoes out? Are you waking up tomorrow and you still got to iron and you still got to do this? Because again, time waits for no man. This is the thing that really gets me, is especially coming from that place we came from. A lot of times we consider it hate, we consider it this, we consider it that, but the reality is we just weren't ready, and they were. Right. And the thing is, the sadder part about it is they weren't even as good as you. They didn't put in the work you put in. They didn't have the talent you had, but they were ready. That's the difference. And that's the thing, is you got to think that through. You got to think that through.
Man, great way to put it there, man. I love that. They were ready. They were ready. You now know what you didn't know before, so don't let history repeat itself, right? All right, you saw someone, they came ready, all right. I think that's a great analogy, especially in sports. Just the one who's ready, the one who's prepared, man. That's the one who's, when their number is called, who's going to be there. Great points. All right, so remember, for my parents, a chaotic summer exit guarantees a compromised academic entrance. Lock in the routine before the institution forces it on you. Lock in the routine before the institution forces it on you, right? So thank you all, parents and educators. If we have educators that are watching this, thank you for listening to this latest episode of Edu Steps Parents Edition, powered by Laddering Your Success. If you love what you heard, if you like what you heard, if you have questions about what you heard, if you disagree with anything that you heard, please be sure to put it in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. If, like I said, if you like what you heard, be sure to like and make sure you subscribe so you can get updates on whenever we drop a new podcast. All right. Thank you so much for your support. Once again, my name is Olay Shorunke, co-founder of Laddering Your Success. Festus, our founder, go ahead and hit him with the phrase that pays, my good sir.
So listen up, y'all. There are legitimate excuses for not going to college. There's no excuse for not getting an education. Thank you for watching this episode of Edu Steps, powered by Laddering Your Success, and we'll see you on the next one.